Guys, I want to get loud all of a sudden.
Do it.
Sorry, I'm going to.
I knew it was coming.
I'm sorry, guys,
Can't
but I
hold 'em
need
back.
to do that.
It is. You feel like Poseidon chucking that bugger down in the water.
Chucking that bugger. Did you butt out that deer?
I did not butt out that deer, but the next one I get,
Okay.
it's getting its butt out.
Is that little Stevie out here in the back?
Drobop. Bow drop, I'm sorry. Drobop. Hello. Stay tuned. I'll be back after my seizure.
Every little chipmunk that was running around, everything's dead quiet, and I went like that. Just happened.
I saw what is in essence a nature-gasm.
All right, Deke, start us off.
Welcome back to the Sonic Campfire. This is Rut and River Pursuits podcast.
There it went. I heard it.
I think it lit off, right? Okay.
A little late.
It wasn't late.
It was late.
Like an Olympic torch.
Well, if you stay on me like this.
Oh, it's going to be that kind of night.
It is going to be that kind of night, guys.
You better get control of this quick.
Okay, who do we have around this table?
I'm Steve.
I'm Will.
Hey, guys, I'm Ryan.
It's Bucky.
And this is Dave. Guys, I'm really excited for tonight.
You, me, both, bud.
We have, could we call them Pennsylvania royalty?
I would. There's
At
no
this
other
point-
word for it.
These guys,
They've been doing it probably
Longer.
Yeah, I've
Harder.
been following these guys for a while.
these guys go from everything from mushroom hunting, rattlesnake hunting, flintlock, traditional archery, ice fishing.
That's just the exotic stuff.
Yeah.
You're killing me, bud.
If it's in the outdoors, in
They-
Pennsylvania especially, they do it.
They definitely do it. We have Leatherwood Outdoors. We have John
Nice.
and Shane. What's happening, guys?
Hey, thanks for having us on.
Hey, guys.
Hey, welcome.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure, guys. Thank you so much.
What's new with you guys?
Well, I tell you what, this time of year, we're looking forward to archery season. It's right around the corner.
It's the change of life.
Is that what they call it?
Is that accurate?
I think that's something else.
That's where we stop fishing and start hunting.
Yeah, I mean, already kind of getting into it as far as doing a little goose hunting, doing a little dove hunting. I'm getting ready for steelhead fishing. Can't wait for that. That's at any time coming. And then, you know, we go early season down in the city and try to shoot some deer with a bow. And then, you know, our opener statewide here. So it's coming and coming quick.
Yeah.
It sure is.
What, 2 weekends away?
Do you-
3, technically, I guess.
If I can ask, like with the salmon, do you wait for reports that they're here or do you just pick a week?
Well, it's one of those things. I've been doing it for a long, long time, and you meet people, you meet good people, you meet bad people up there, and I've been fortunate enough actually ice fishing up there. Met a guy up there and, you know, became friends. He actually recognized us from some of the videos, and he fishes, and he lives up there, you know what I mean? So he knows what's going on all times of the year. I mean, if it's perch here or walleye there, steelhead here, you know, he knows it, and he has enough friends that fish as well, so he always has good information. So I just call him and like, hey, you know, and the last that I heard, the steelhead were only, you know, 40 feet out. So we're supposed to get a power rain this weekend. Hopefully they get it, and you could possibly be looking next weekend be steelhead fishing.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
If you wait for the reports, you're probably too late anyways.
that's the thing about it. You read it, you're too late. If you want to hit it good, not that the fish aren't there, but I found like I'd rather chance a heavy rainstorm, you know, going up after and catching those first fish up in there. Because I mean, it's sometimes like fishing in a hatchery. I mean, every fish wants to eat. They haven't seen anything. You start reading reports of guys catching fish, and it's like, well, they're already beat up. They've been fished out for 2 weeks already and caught 3 times, you know. But yeah, so like I said, I talk to him and go from there.
No, I rely on Stevie a lot, listening to his reports, and
They're always spot on.
you nailed
And 2 weeks behind.
you nailed it. At least 2 weeks behind. So good on you. You got some good intel, it sounds.
Well, guys, I know we hit on that
one specific thing right away, right out of the gate. We jumped on that one, but
it's hard not to.
I want to, for like the 3 people that may be interested in the outdoors that don't know Leatherwoods and their amazing videos on Facebook. Can you guys give us a quick little background? What is Leatherwoods Outdoors?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, Leatherwood Outdoors is just a group of us from Western Pennsylvania that love to film everything in the Pennsylvania outdoors. If you can hunt, fish, and trap it, we're pretty much going to be making a video of it. And so we share all of our experiences on YouTube. We have 2 channels, Leatherwood Outdoors, and our second channel, Leatherwood Outdoors 2. And we also have a Facebook page, and we are starting to get into getting set up on an Instagram page.
Cool. How long have you guys been doing it?
How long have you not been on Instagram?
Well, I'll tell you what. We were getting so many messages. I just thought it was just too much.
Yeah.
I mean, we tried. I try to answer every question that we get on every single video.
Oh my goodness!
And try to, if it's a legitimate question, or if somebody says something that I feel needs to respond to, I try to read every single comment. And then on top of that, then you have the messages being sent, and then you have Facebook with the messages and notifications and comments. And it was just, anything with Twitter or Instagram just seemed like it was just way too much because it was more than what we could handle.
John, you get tens of thousands of views on every video. How can you possibly respond to everything? That's got to be a full-time job and then some.
Well, it does take a lot of time, but I love reading the comments, and I really don't sit on the computer and watch a whole bunch of other different things.
Yeah.
When I'm on the computer, I'm editing, I'm checking the comments and seeing what people like, and you meet new people that way. It's always interesting. Just the other day, I got a comment on a video that said, hey, I live, they just happen to live literally a half hour down the road, and I don't think they realized how close we were.
Yeah.
And they just thought that was absolutely amazing because they said, I'm from PA. That'd be so awesome to make it back up to PA. They live out of state now. And then when they find out, we're close to home. And we've even seen that with people overseas and people in the military that are overseas that are from Pennsylvania or have roots into deer hunting, and they watch our videos and they can relate so much because it reminds them of home, and love reading those messages. And it's a inspiration for us to keep making the videos.
Yeah, driving force. I mean, that's part of the driving force, the positive feedback. I mean, and plus you meet a lot of great people. You really do. I mean, obviously there's bad apples everywhere, but it's like I've truly been blessed with the amount of awesome people that I've met. I mean, through doing this, but it all stems back to, like I said, the positive feedback, our military too. It's one of those things. You get a guy on there that says, I've served 3 tours and stuff like that, and I love coming home and watching your videos. I mean, that really hits home,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So how long have you been making videos for YouTube?
I want to say 2006. I think.
Well,
we might have filmed before that.
We were filming, both of us, before even the thought of Leatherwood Outdoors. We were filming our outdoor adventures way before we ever created the YouTube channel. And I mean, I even have a video on our Leatherwood Outdoors channel from when I was probably 6 years old. And we were floating the Red Bank Creek, and my dad always carried the video camera with me or with us everywhere we went, when no matter what we were doing. And we did a lot of hunting and fishing and stuff. And fishing before I was old enough to hunt, but we were videotaping a bear that was crossing the river in front of us, and you can hear me in the video saying, "Can I run the camera? Can I run the camera?"
Oh, cool.
So, I mean, that's how early I've been, having the camera around me every time I'm going out and being able to share those experiences. And then as with Shane, they were, Shane and some of those other guys were videotaping, and, over time, we all went to the same high school, different grades and stuff. We all knew each other and stuff. Shane and I played on the same little league team. But it wasn't until like after high school, I created the YouTube channel when YouTube was just coming up, and it's like, here's an easier way that I can share those memories, because we were videotaping with VHS and the high 8 tapes and the mini DVD tapes.
So you're all over the place. So if one person or two people or even three guys would get, say a deer kill on video, and you wanted to show it to a family member or a friend or something like that, you're taking 3 different video cameras with 3 different sets of cords and hooking them up to a TV, fast forward mid, rewind and fast forward and trying to get to this one certain spot. So it's like, well, let's put them on YouTube. It's quick, it's easy. And it was kind of by accident. I mean, to really think about it, as far as where we're at today. I mean, it was just and it's like with fishing, I'm sure you guys may have done this before, but I waded out with the video camera in my waders, went in too far, ruined the camera. So it's like, I would have lost all my footage if I wouldn't have, stopped down to Johnny's before, I went fishing. And it's like, it's just, drop a camera out of a tree stand. So it's like, it was I guess like a holding spot for us as far as our videos go, and a safe spot,
Yep. Safe way to store them, easy way to share them. And that was the main goal behind it, was to preserve memories and share them with friends and family. And that was what we were looking at. Now, second, we're thinking, well, that would be in the back of our minds. We're thinking that would be pretty cool to be like the guys on TV, and do a hunting show. But the main driving force was to be able to share our experiences with friends and family the easiest way possible. And what easier way than to copy a link and send it in an email?
There it is.
Through YouTube. And so, like I said, it was around 2000, I'm thinking YouTube channel we created it in 2008, and Shane and some of those guys, they already had footage of their own, and I taught myself how to convert the VHS and all those other different formats of tapes and DVDs onto a digital format before the digital camera age really took on. And they didn't know anybody that could do that. And since, we were from the same area, they learned that I was starting to put some videos up on YouTube. And they said, hey, why don't, could you edit these? And I said, well, we're all from the same area. And I said, you bring me the videos and I'll edit them and put them up on the channel.
Okay.
And
nice.
And we'll just keep
That
going
makes
from
sense.
there. And that's how it started. And, then,
Cool.
Friends of mine and friends of Shane's, everyone's like, well, hey, this is, hey, if I brought you some video, would you do it too? And I was like, well, yeah, bring it to me. And, I'll just edit it. And that's how that's how the group got started. There was nobody in and nobody out. There wasn't like a definite number of, this is part of the Leatherwood crew. It's constantly evolving and changing. And,
that was going to be,
so it's mostly just really good friends and family.
Cool.
that was going to be one of my questions, was like, how many guys are involved in the group? Because I try to keep up with it and watch all the videos as they come out. I usually end up like waiting until a particular time of year and I'm researching something, and then I try to backfill and get caught up with you guys. But I was going to ask how many contributors you guys have, because there's always new videos going on.
It's different from year to year. I mean, 6 months to 6 months is different as far as, there's obvious, you watch the videos, there's obvious people that continue doing it, but some people will do it for a little while. And, we had some people that, kind of started it, was always bringing footage, but get jobs in the oil field or gas line, pipeline and stuff like that. They're here for a couple of days. People get married, and it's like people come and people go. I mean, so as far as a set number, there isn't really a set number as far as that goes.
And you guys also have some people that are involved with the group that they sort of have their specialties, right?
Sure.
That's one of the things we pride ourselves on. Like everybody's got their own little niche, but we all kind of do a little bit of everything. And I'd say you guys are definitely, along the same lines. You've got some of the guys that seem to be a little bit more involved during trapping season or hunting morels, or, when it comes time for recurves, you've got
Steelhead fishing.
Steelhead fishing. Yeah.
Yeah. But John, your last video that you just released, or recently released, it was a month or so ago.
Yeah.
My first question is,
I know where this is going.
what is wrong with you, buddy?
Take your time.
This was on rattlesnake
hunting.
and
Yeah.
bless your heart. I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm speechless.
Well,
Talk about that a little for me, but help me wrap my head around why a grown man would stick a tube around a venomous snake's head and slap a tape on it.
Well, I tell you, when I was a little kid, my brother and I, we would run around. My grandfather had a pipe business, and he'd sell used pipe and new pipe. And the workers were always scared of little green snakes and garter snakes and everything. And they'd always holler for us to come up and run up and catch them for them. So I was used to catching snakes when I was little, and it was an easy transition to get into rattlesnakes. And basically how I got started.
Oh, yeah.
A friend of mine and his uncle, we were coming down through, we were in the Benezettes and Mahoning area, coming down off one of the mountains. And my friend looked down over into the ditch in the culvert, and he goes, "Stop." And so his uncle put the brakes on, and he says, "Back up." So he backed up, and he looks out the window and goes, "Yep." And I'm like, "What?" It goes, and he starts to get out of the truck, and then you can hear him rattle. And as they're rattling, he goes, "2 rattlesnakes, black bays and yellow bays."
Oh, boy.
And as soon as I got to see them, they darted right underneath the pipe in the culvert.
Did you just say
that was
you sharded and dove back?
He didn't say that.
He didn't say that.
That's what I would have done.
Oh, yes.
And, I've been going up into that area. My dad would take me up there ever since I was a little kid. We'd go up fishing and stuff, and always was told about the rattlesnakes. But, maybe I only ever seen maybe 1 or 2 that were maybe hit on the road. And it just never registered that there's still rattlesnakes. Even as I got older and out of high school, it wasn't never really registering into my mind. There's rattlesnakes in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And so after that, his uncle said, and we would go up to his camp up there and stay. He goes, there's some rattlesnakes that have been being seen close to camp. He goes, you can get a permit and you can hunt those. He goes, if you guys want to get your gear, I'll take you out so we can hunt some rattlesnakes that are coming down close to the camps and stuff. And we said, sure. So the very next year, we got our stuff. We jumped out of the truck. We had no idea what to do, where to go. We just knew basic habitat, up on top of a hill, some sunlight trees, some rocks, an opening. And we jumped out of the truck. And the second rock I jumped on, right beside it was a big black face, probably 45 inches, laying right there, no more than 25, 30 feet from the truck.
Beginner's
that's all
luck.
the quicker it took.
And then you were hooked.
Right. We were hooked ever since. And
a question on the snake population in Pennsylvania, is it the internet that the word of mouth for snake hunting, or is conservation working and we're getting more snakes? Like, where the population is increasing, or is just the awareness of the rattlesnake population coming out?
I think it's more of the awareness.
Okay.
I'm not saying that, you mean as because of them taking them off the list of the candidate species?
Well, no, it just seems like there's more rattlesnakes.
Like bigger bucks now?
Yeah, it just seems like for an outsider looking in.
Are you trying to give me nightmares?
Yeah, bud. I don't remember.
Did you guys ever hunt for clowns?
Like growing up, I don't remember hearing about that many rattlesnakes. And now, in my 30s, I'm hearing more about it. Is it because of the internet?
It's a vogue, yeah.
Yeah, I think it is.
Social media for sure.
Right.
Okay.
Social media. I don't know how many times people have come up to me and said, I got into snake hunting because of your videos. And we would always look at our snake tags to see the number. And I don't know the exact number, but I feel confident saying that the snake hunters have probably tripled since we started putting videos.
You think so?
Wow.
It's just unbelievable. We would go into places that I would think I'm never going to see another person.
Yeah.
And there's another person snake hunting, and then they recognize me. And it's like, this is crazy, you know? And they're like, oh, yeah, I drove a couple hours just to come up here and hunt this. It's 3 miles back in. And it's like,
wow.
You know, how many people, and we get so many messages on, you know, snake hunting and, you know, how to get started. Now, as you guys know, snake hunters are very tight-lipped about the information that they give out. But yeah, you go, there's so many places in Pennsylvania. And I think a lot of it, like Shane said, it's social media. People realize that they're out there, and through social media, people are going and showing these lookouts and different cool things that are out there.
Yeah.
To go see, and people are running into them more and more. So yeah, I think it really is with social media.
John, are you ever like, well, why are you going 3 miles back when they're right by my truck?
Well, part of the experience of snake hunting isn't just the snake hunting. It's just being in the outdoors, exploring Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
The scenery, the views that you get to see. You know, it's kind of like some days you're in the same tree over and over and over again for archery, and you just feel like, I just need a change of scenery. And that's sort of the way it transitioned with snake hunting. We would go to the same spots, and it's like we would never want to go anywhere else because we knew the snakes were there. But now it's to the point now where, hey, it's fun because there's so many snakes out there. It doesn't matter where you go. If you know the type of habitat to look for, you can generally, in a short period of time, find rattlesnakes.
I really like how you guys are real selective on what you're going to harvest. I think that's awesome. That's showing conservation at its utmost. And I really respect you guys for doing that. And you're kind of, you know, you're like, well, I've already had a yellow phase, or I had this one. I'm looking for the one. And that's pretty awesome.
But it even gets to the point now where it's like, I don't know, being around them so much, I guess, and finding, you know, fortunate enough to find as many as what we have. It's like almost now. And then you get to hearing more things like it's kind of like a muskie, like a 50-inch muskie is like the pinnacle muskie. You know what I mean?
Right.
So a 50-inch rattlesnake is like a pinnacle snake. Like you find a 50-incher, like that's a giant snake. Well, it was like one of those deals. Well, once you find them, and then it's like, well, you know, that snake could have been 20 years old, you know, but you want to find the biggest one, like shooting the biggest buck or anything like that. But then it's like, then you get to think about it, you know, you might be finding a 52, a 54-inch snake that could be 30, 40 years old. Is it really worth killing it to eat it and have a skin on the wall? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if you've done, you know, and we all have a few that we've kept and, you know, tanned their hides and stuff like that. So it's, going back to what Johnny was saying, it's more of the experience of being out there, seeing them, filming them, and it happens. It's like whenever we first started doing it was like we tried to catch every snake that we saw. You know what I mean? And now it's more taking pictures of them, filming them. Don't even bother. Like you seeing so many, you can look at it and be like, well, that's a female. You know, she's probably 35 inches long. You know, or that's a male. He's 44 inches long or over 40. You know what I mean? And it's like one of those deals where you don't even really bother with them because it's something now that you don't even, want to kill. So
there were two things that I loved the most about that video. The first was, like John said, the scenery. Like that did not look like the Pennsylvania that I'm used to. Like you were on some steep, rocky cliffs.
Oh yeah, that's out there.
That's like not.
But you got to get out of Chambers.
I know, but that's not.
Stevie, the lakes are in the lower spots. But
good point.
Bingo.
So that scenery was just beautiful. Like it's not. I don't know. That was beautiful. And the second thing was that the snakes run away from you. Well, not run, but they
don't have legs.
They slither away fairly. Like when I think of rattlesnake, like I'm thinking of I'm walking, towards the lake or something like that, and this rattlesnake's going to jump out of a bush and bite me on the neck,
jump out of a tree,
and then stand there and wait for me to.
You guys watch too many cartoons.
Wait.
Right. They're not going to try to come after you, and that's another thing.
That was so reassuring.
We know with our videos how many people are watching, and we get a lot of younger kids that are watching, and we know that we need to be responsible in the type of content that we put out. And so we want to be able to show not only educational things, but we want to show ethical type of hunting, because we know the future generation of hunters they're watching our videos. And so I think education is a big thing. And, they do strike at us and stuff like that, but it's not like Shane said, we're not out there trying to catch every single snake and we try to do it really safe too. I know there's guys out there that handle them by hand or just hook in hand.
Yeah, good for them.
But,
It's called
a lot of people.
That's called You're Destined to Crowfab City. That's the anti-venom for Eastern Diamondback.
Crowfab City.
Oh. Yeah.
I'll write that down in my notes.
Crowfab City.
When we first started hunting, we picked them up by hand. I only did that 1 year. And I only caught my first snake I caught by hand. And, holding it behind the head. And I realized after I did that, I the rest of the time on the way home thinking, that was so dumb what I did. And so I said, I am never going to do that ever again. And then as I learned, learned more about the snakes, and that's another thing if you're hunting something just like whitetail or anything else, you learn about the animal that you're hunting. And so the more I learned about the rattlesnake, just in order to find it and learn about where I could find bigger ones, I learned more about the snake, gained more respect for the snake as I got older and hunted it longer, to where the point now is, I want to handle them as safely and not try to be manly about it, not try to, be like a macho man and say, hey, look what I can do. It's like, I don't want somebody else going out there thinking, well, they did it, I can do it too.
Yeah.
And getting bit because they watch my video or something. Doesn't mean that, you can't get bit with holding tongs, because there's a lot of people that have been handling snakes for many years that get bit. And I think the main problem is they lose a healthy fear of the snake. I think people when they start out, if you're not learning the proper ways to handle a snake in the first time, it's just a matter of time. But if you have a healthy fear at the beginning, if you are overconfident and you're handling to the point where it's like, well, I've never had one do this, or, well, I haven't had this happen, so I can get away with doing this a little bit more. That is a sign right there that danger's coming.
So it's a wild animal. You can never predict. Yeah, it's a wild animal. You can never truly predict what they're going to do.
Yeah, we had Manny Puig on a couple of weeks ago, and the guy hand feeds sharks. He wrestles gators. He's only got 9 fingers, and he lost that one because of a rattlesnake.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, a rattlesnake's what got him the worst.
Yep.
He got bit by a gator and
that
by a
was a
shark.
big diamondback down there. And
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Hey guys, can we talk about something other than snakes?
Stevie's getting all skeezed out.
We're forgetting one big question for Deaky. Do you guys wear shin guards?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what is your if for some
like
guy?
Gators?
Yeah.
Most of the time, when we first started, we had the snake full chaps, full body armor.
Now you're talking.
Chaps. Yeah, and
now it's loincloths.
It depends on the type of hunt you plan on doing. A lot of the guys, we've brought a lot of people with us, close friends, that they just wanted to go to watch.
Where was our
that
invite?
were in shorts and tennis shoes.
Oh my!
But there's lots of other people that are out there hiking in shorts and tennis shoes, and they're right in the same places where the rattlesnakes are. So it's really the type of hunting. Those guys usually stay on the path, and they stay in between everybody else. If you're going to be going through the brush that's up to your knee, then you're definitely going to want snake-proof boots, at least, and if you're going, I always said that if you're climbing over rocks and dead brush where you could fall, and this happened to me before, where my foot slipped in between 2 rocks and I fell into my waist. And underneath the rock, it would have been the back of my thigh. I could hear a rattlesnake under the rock buzzing. But I had my chaps on, and I thought, if I would have just had my boots on, and it was close enough to the rock. It was too far back under the rock, but if it would have been out to the edge, it could have about bit me on the back of my thigh. But I notice now, if I just don't do that type of exploring. I don't walk over brush between rocks and stuff. I try to pick where I'm going to walk, things like that. So, yeah, we usually mostly just have snake-proof boots anymore. And then some of the guys that go with us, if they want chaps, we have them. And
an Iron Man
like
suit,
chastity belt.
Yeah.
But this year, I hunted 4 days and seen, saw, and caught 74 snakes.
Woo! What?
In 4 days. And 3 of those 4 days, I was in places that I've never been before.
Wow. I was going to say, yeah, that was the other part of that video is you guys
Those
were
were
in
just
new
places
areas.
just going and taking a chance in a place and finding snakes.
Well,
So
we'll be up next year. So.
No, we won't. Speak for yourself.
It's like one of those things I always said, like, if someone would hold a gun to my head and say, you have one snake to find today, what kind of snake's it going to be? I'd pick a rattlesnake. 9 out of 10 times.
Okay.
That's really how many there are. Just a testament to
Really?
how easy they are to find and how many there are in the state.
I mean, I don't want to invite myself, but I want to invite myself to do this.
Life begins at the end of your comfort zone.
And-
Wise man once said.
I'm pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We have taken some friends that were, absolutely scared to death of them, did not want, and they realize and they learn about them. I put up a video this year of taking some friends from Pittsburgh, and, by the first day, you could see by the second day in the video, it was a complete night and day change on how they viewed and how much more respect they have for the rattlesnake, just in 1 day's worth of seeing how they interact with us.
Yeah,
because they're not actually out there trying to get you. Now, if you jump down beside one real quick while it's there, you're going to startle it and it'll probably strike at you.
Yeah.
But, if you're just easily, walking through and keeping your eyes open, they're not going to come after you.
Yeah.
And that was
They don't want to be bothered at all. They really don't want to be. And I would say safely 80% of the snakes, if they would never rattle, we would have never seen them. You know what I mean? And they leave sometimes, they're 15 yards away and they're already rattling, trying to get underneath a rock. You know what I mean? They don't want to be bothered. They're not one of those things that, they sneak up behind you whenever you walk past them and bite
Yes,
in the back.
they do.
No, see, and that was the great part about those guys that you had up from Pittsburgh that weren't comfortable doing this on day one. And by day 2, their message that they were relaying is exactly what you wanted to show to, like you were saying, John, to your younger viewers and stuff. It's these snakes aren't hiding behind somewhere waiting for you to walk by so they can jump out and scare you. Right, Steve?
Like a flying squirrel.
Like a flying squirrel.
Take their words for it.
They have a fear of humans, and if you give them their space, they'll just move along and just be gone.
Yep.
Good point.
I'll take your word for it, bud.
Yeah. I'm going along next year. I'm in.
Deaky has another.
They
topic
haven't
he
officially
wants to bring
invited
up.
us. They're not.
I invited myself.
But we
They
don't
don't mind.
They
I'm just going to show up at the
Let's see
their
how the rest of
driveway
this
and
goes.
just follow their truck.
We don't have to go far from their truck.
Yeah. Hey, well, let's get talking about trapping.
Oh, that sounds good.
Trapping snakes. Oh, Stevie's back out again.
Oh boy.
No, I'm sorry.
No, you guys get into some pretty good trapping, and I think that's a nice dying art that you guys are showing and trying to keep alive and showing to like you said, your audience can be younger, and I think that's adding some kids to that activity. I think that's awesome.
Shane is more into the trapping. I get my fur takers. I haven't set a trap in probably 10 years, but I get my fur taker's license every year just in case I want to.
I'm the same way.
I feel like
Same way.
it's the thought of trying to preserve that tradition, and Shane can tell you more on that.
And it really, that's what it boils down to. And I always said some of the best all-around outdoorsmen that I know are trappers. And it's just because they're out there every day. They see the movement of the animals. they're willing to try different things. And I feel like sometimes people get stuck on the same thing, regardless of what it is. You know, you're talking bass fishing. You got the guys that'll throw the lipless crankbaits day in, day out, on, you know, or jerk baits or whatever
Ned
it is.
rigs.
And it's like they're not that you're not going to catch fish or you're not going to catch a coon in a coon cuff using this bait, but you know, a lot of times whenever something isn't working, they don't hesitate. At least I don't as a trapper. But at the end of the day, with that being said, it's like you always have your go-to. This is a go-to canine set. This is a go-to coon set. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, but you put that in relation with everything else you do as far as hunting goes, and it all ties in. There's a lot of ties, I feel, that start with trapping. I mean, and like I said, a lot of it has to do with just being out there. So
now, is Pennsylvania trapping like I'm seeing on Mountain Men or Alaska Frontiers?
Jeremiah Johnson.
Is that similar? Am I getting a good representation of trapping in general?
dog sleds.
Of course, our snow machines predominantly. But is that what's going on here?
I mean, I'm sure that some people maybe take that to to that level, but for the most part, you got, more so, you got to figure too, like even with us doing, like we have full-time jobs, you know what I mean? So it's like, you got to be up before your job, checking your traps. If you catch anything, either redoing them after your job's over with at the end of the day. Yeah. And then if you do catch something, you got to take it home, skin it, clean it, flesh it, dry it, get it ready for market and stuff like that. So there's a lot of work, involved with trapping, but it's like to take it to that level, I don't think that happens very much around here. Like I said, as far as what the people that I know who trap it, now some guys will take off, that's what they do. They're trappers. Whenever you're a trapper, you're a trapper. You're not, and I'll never sit here and say that I'm a great trapper by any means. Like, can I catch coon? Yes. Can I catch fox? Yes. But it's like, if you want to be good at it, that's all that you can do. And it's like, for me, it's like I archery hunt, I go to Ohio and hunt, I steelhead fish, and it's like I do so many other different things, go here, go there. I'm not a consistent trapper as far as that goes, just because I do so many other things. Where if you want to be a consistent trapper and stuff like that, that's what you got to do. You got to, you're setting traps, you're not archery hunting because you're either expanding your line or tearing down the line to move it, you know what I mean? And you're not, and it's like I always say, the last thing I want to do come, the rut is I don't want to have to be up at, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning checking traps and then go try to put an all day set in a tree stand, and then whenever I'm done, if I don't kill a deer, I got to go home and skin animals and stuff like that. So it's like, if you're like, and we really haven't trapped too hard. No, we always do try to catch some just for, your population control, basically. Taking coon out, that's a big thing around here, I feel, is like coons, because they're hard on turkeys, they're hard on ducks, they're hard on everything. And they all are, I guess, same with coyotes and deer and stuff like that. But
yeah, those are the
going
videos.
Back to your question, as far as, I don't see it.
I wasn't getting at the intensity and making it your living or your lifestyle, but is just the
process,
the process and the technical
planes.
the technical aspect of it, running the line, setting them up on trees, and just so I could picture that in my head. I was just trying to paint a picture.
Yeah, some of Shane's videos that I saw, like I think it was maybe 2 years ago or so, like there was a lot of sets that he was doing for the raccoon, and like they were using a lot of the DP traps, the dog proof traps.
Okay.
And he's checking them. Quick. He's setting them up in the morning before work, or he's running a quick check on a couple of traps before work. And it's like a 15-20 minute video, but it's over 4 or 5 days where he's just doing a quick check. He goes in, he's got something, he'll dispatch it, then he'll go on check the next one.
Gotcha. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things, like it's like anything. Doing it for a while, like you find new spots to set. So you try to run a loop or a line together, and like, and I would do that going to work. Like I would run a line for say 2 weeks. Where take coon for an example, and it's like one of those things. If you're to me, like, I like to put traps out for everything. If I'm going to this spot, and I use bridges a lot, like, because they're close to the road. If you can get your traps, 20 yards off that, so people don't see them, either to steal your animals, steal your traps or whatnot. Streams, any culvert or stream or bridge, like, I always would have traps around those, just waterways. Coons are in waterways, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. So I'm like, in my head, knowing the area, like, I can put a trap here for a coon, here for a coon, here for a coon, here for a coon. Along that way, you might run into a spot where there might be muskrat or mink. So you set a blind set for muskrat or mink, while you're checking. And then it's like, okay, well, you get to the top of the hill where you see a spot where coyote and fox might be running as well. You know what I mean? So it's like, then you take and set a coyote or a canine set out there. You know what I mean? So it's like, what I always would try to do, I targeted coon more than anything, because it's like, at one time, within the past 10 years, they were worth $20 a piece. They were easy to catch. And I didn't mind, that was a big thing for, on a Friday, Saturday night, was spending the time, friends and stuff like that, in the fur shed. You know what I mean? That's what we did. We got together, fleshed all the animals that we caught throughout the week or whatnot, and had a bullshit session for, 3, 4, 5 hours at night. So, that was something we always look forward to. But as far as, like, that's how I would run my line. And I'd do it for 2 or 3 weeks until he wasn't catching much, and then figure out another route, set new traps out, tear old lines down. So that's basically how I viewed it as far as. Now, some of these guys that just trap canines, they'll have 8 or 10 farms that they'll have traps set there for all year long, because, like, coyotes especially are moving. They're always moving. They might be here one day, might not be there for another 7 to 10 days. You know what I mean? You just got to be there and have your traps working whenever they're there, and you might pick up one, but there could be a pack of 4 or 5. So it's like, to me, like, if I'm trapping, I like catching stuff, it's like, so I'll put out coon traps, I'll put out muskrat and mink traps, beaver traps, try to tie everything in together. So
throw it all out there, see what's biting. I like it.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's a good plan.
You know who would make a good trapper? Like a dude that ran like a mall kiosk. Because you don't have to be at work till like 9 or 10 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, like the sunglasses guy?
Yeah, and then
the guy that sells the
then they roll out at like 8:30 or 9.
Yeah. I've been saying that for years.
You could trap as much as you want.
Uh-huh.
That's a good market, so you should push that. So, all right, I want to change gears a little bit, and this could end up breaking into
downshift it, bud.
12 or 13 different subtopics, but
yes, double clutch it.
I want to talk a little bit about white-tailed deer.
What?
And I got to talk about how
sounds like a real snooze fest to me.
Sorry, Fish Steve.
Fish and Steve.
So, this is really how I stumbled upon these guys many, many, many years ago, I would say at this point.
Yeah.
I was interested in figuring out how to flintlock hunt. And just getting into it and starting from scratch, having no idea. I mean, I was born and raised in a hunting family, but it was 2 days a buck, 2 days a doe. Yeah, that was the only hunting that
you had your own podcast. I know, bud, remember?
But I wanted to learn how to do flintlock muzzleloader.
Right.
When you search PA flintlock muzzleloader on YouTube, boy, the first thing that comes up is going to be Leatherwood, because those videos that you boys put out are amazing.
Yeah.
I really like the driving, the deer drives late season.
Oh yeah,
where they're muzzleloader hunting and
the recurves and longbows.
You guys are smacking deer on the run with a recurve. Wow, that's awesome. That it makes you want to get out there. Sorry to derail your question.
No, those are exactly the videos.
Derail away, Deke.
The property the property you guys are hunting is amazing. It's a beautiful piece of property. And for anybody who hasn't seen the videos, you have to go out and look at these. There are big names in the world of hunting where their whole thing is tracking a deer, right? So like you think of the Benoits up in Maine and New Hampshire area, their whole thing is how you can track a deer. And there's a lot of respect that I have for people that do that. I have so much respect for John and the way that he does a stalk on these deer, and he's doing it with a camera.
I got to hear about this.
And then he's setting up the shot with the camera, and he's getting it all on. It's amazing what he's putting together. So I'm sorry, John. Anyway,
I think he still has a camera from the 80s where it hangs
It's
off
like
his
40
shoulder.
pounds.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
One of the ones you put on your shoulder.
Yeah. Ratchet strap it to your.
You know, when I hear you talk about flintlock hunting, I think of the way I've been flintlock hunting in two different areas. The way I used to hunt flintlock and the way I hunt flintlock now. Because before it was the snow camo, put a bunch of drives on, guys with bows and muzzle loaders. And now, with me personally, I'm into the period dress flintlock hunting.
Wow.
So when I hear people talking about the flintlock videos, I'm trying to picture what video they have in their mind when they're talking. Am I in the snow camo, sneaking up in snow in front of the camera, or am I, making a fire underneath a rock ledge?
Well, I'll tell you what's really, really cool is the transition, because I found you guys just looking for, watching somebody hunt flintlock in PA. So it started with those drives you guys were doing in late season, and you got the snow camo. But it over the years has progressed, and now I've learned how to make a flint and steel fire. And I've watched you do this in these, where you're dressed in the period dress and you're putting on, it's a movie. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's a 25-minute movie.
What's a period dress though? I mean, what period are we talking about?
Well, I would say between 1790, 1810, somewhere around there. The reason why is the property that I hunt on my family's property. Just looking at the historical records. Now I'm in Clarion County, where I'm at, and the first settlers didn't even arrive until 1820. That the historical records say that the first settler in my area. Now, that area, what they're talking about, might be a 10-mile area. I don't know exactly what they're meaning by the area, but there was no one settled there. So I figured if somebody, the way the progression of the settlers what they would do is they would be on the eastern side of the state, and they would make trips into the western part, scout out places maybe to build a home or something like that, and then go back during winter, come back and do station hunts or something like that until they built like a rough cut, like log cabin or something like that for their homestead. And so I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm still learning with the period hunt, like on persona. And usually when people are doing that, they have, this historically accurate persona of, the type of hunting that they do, and that, people will even match the style of guns to the gun makers from that part of the state where they hunt. I mean, it can go really, really in depth on what that does. But right now I would say that I'm just at the beginning parts of it.
Sure.
And
are they trying to figure out like I've been to the reenactments at Gettysburg, and like sometimes they're kind of talking about an individual, that this is the captain of the 2nd Battalion of Pennsylvania. Whatever.
Yeah.
Those numbers are probably wrong. Are they even looking at that, like trying to find a trapper from that period, or a market hunter?
Yeah, they might find a specific person or read through the history of a person, and they might even dress. If they can find anything in the records of what the person even dressed like, or maybe even if it was one thing, they would take that one thing and wear it.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
Part
That's
of the
pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The whole point of the period dress is to preserve history. And we have to realize that the flintlock season in Pennsylvania is the most single important historical hunting season we have. Because that is where we came from.
Yeah.
And people are wanting to bring inlines into that flintlock season. If that happens, we will not be able to wear orange. Or no orange is what I'm saying. We'll have to wear orange.
Sure.
I'm not going to, and there are people in some states that will dress the way I'm dressing and have orange on their hat. I feel like it defeats the purpose. I wouldn't be able to make a video like I did, because I'd have to have an orange hat and have patches on my shirt to cover that 250 square inches.
I got you.
And that's the reason why I fear the flintlock season. may disappear in the future. And I want to try to preserve that because there's history about it. And when people say, why are you dressing like that? That's an opportunity for me to bring up history.
Dude,
and
I
to
never
give a history
thought,
lesson.
never even once gave it a thought. And you know,
I'm ready to dig my heels in.
I'm 100% behind you. Yeah.
That's a great position to be on for,
and you know, it kind of, it bothers me when I hear people say, oh man, deer season's over at the end of rifle season. It's not over.
No, bless their hearts.
I mean, to some people, it hasn't even begun yet.
Yeah.
Because I save a tag always. It's the only season that I make sure I have a tag for.
Yeah, I think there's at least 4 or 5 of us that make sure that we do every year just for that. You know, there's just something about hunting in the snow. You know what I mean? Whether it's spotting or stalking or getting together and putting on little drives to each other, there's something about that time. It's not, you know, the so-called Orange Army. You don't have to be quiet like you are in archery season. Right. It's just, I don't know. There's something about that time.
It's eerily quiet. Like after you have those couple weeks of rifle, and then you do an all-day sit in late season, it is oddly quiet. It's freaky, I think.
Well, and then another thing, like it kind of ties into is it's like you go through the 2 week of gun season, and it's like those deer have been pushed around all over the place. They never do what you want them to do. You know what I mean? You coming in and you see the videos where we are successful and do harvest something, but it's like you're not seeing the 20 drives before that, especially with a bow. You know, to get one with a bow within 4 or 5 yards to come past you, I mean, it's like one of those deals where you're really doing something right for that to happen, because it's like you start a drive and 2 deer go back past you. Well, that's where the rest of them are going. So, you know, and it's like after being pushed around all rifle season and stuff like that and not doing what you want them to do, it's like, you know, a sense of accomplishment and then you're throwing in a flintlock that goes off, you know, maybe, you know, you never know with one of those in your hands if it's going off or not. And that's the fun of it all, too. And it's like,
I have yet to have mine go off, so.
Really?
No kid. Oh boy.
0% of the time. 0%.
But that's part of the fun as well. You know what I mean? You just never know.
You got to put the powder in the pan.
No, looking back on it was fun. At the time, I was not enjoying myself at all.
Yeah. I want to go back to the clothes a little bit. What are you wearing? What is the period clothing? Is it?
Well, the main long is a hunting frock that's walnut dyed. So, like, if you were to take a bunch of walnuts and put them in a big tub and let that black, dye, and then that's how they would stain a lot of the things.
Leaches and then the tannins.
I have a blanket roll, which I use as a coat. You've probably seen in the one video where I used a blanket pin and turned my blanket into, but.
And the blanket pin seconds as a striker for the flint steel.
Yeah, it can. But I usually, sometimes they have that you can do it with that, but I actually have an actual striker for my
striker.
Flint. Then the possibles bag. That's called the possibles bag, where you carry all your stuff in the powder horn, which I made myself, and. Cool. So, I mean, and with the dress, when you get into reenactments and people who reenact, you can get people to the point where if it isn't hand sewn exactly the way it was in the record books, then you shouldn't be using it. But I don't go to that length because I want people to get, if they're interested in getting into this, I don't want somebody breathing down the back of their throat saying that's not period correct. As long as they're trying and learning about history, because I think that's one of the reasons why people do period dresses, because it shows that they have a really great interest in history and wanting to preserve that history. So as with the clothing, what that blanket roll is an actual Italian officer blanket. It's 100% wool blanket. And if you were to go out there and try to buy 100% wool blanket,
ain't cheap.
It's going to be very difficult because most of the wool blankets out there are 90% wool. So 100% wool makes a big difference, that 10%. And
it does.
The thing is with wool is that even when it's wet, you can still stay warm because it retains the heat. So that's why they use wool a lot. And I'm just trying to think. I have
yeah, even the military blend wool blankets are 80-20.
Really?
Yep.
So as with a lot of people ask what I'm wearing for my feet, and I'm wearing buck boots.
Gotcha.
I've probably just killed every video now that I'm ever going to make on that. But
period.
That's why it's
videos where
it's filmed from the knee up. I get it.
If I'm doing something weird in the video, I'm trying to do it historical.
Yeah.
So I try not to show my feet. And the thing is, I've talked to a lot of guys that used to do this years ago, and they said, listen, slipping on ice wearing leather moccasins or something like that, just be safe. You know, we get the point. You don't need to be going out there when it's ice and snow, you know, trying to
don't be a hero.
That perfect, and nobody else is going to see you, you know. And so that's where, you know, I do wear like muck boots, and then I cover them with some wool, like it's like a wool shirt that I cut off and use them for leggings, which I do have a tan deer hide that I'd like to actually get made into deer tan leggings, deer hide leggings, but that's down the road. And to get into this, you're not, that type of stuff is rather expensive when you start getting into wool and that type of stuff. So a lot of the reenactors that have done this before, when they're out of it, they're more than willing to give a lot of that stuff to a new hunter. I've seen it a lot, and that's how I got a lot of my stuff. People just said, hey, I don't use this anymore. I had an extra. If you're going to continue with the tradition, just keep it. You know, and now I have bought some other stuff. There are some sites to find things, but half of trying to figure out what to wear is figuring out which time period, because there are a lot of people that dress French and Indian, you know, so you're going way back, you know, so you got to try to match your time period. You can wear something older, but you can't wear something newer in an older time. You know what I'm saying?
Those guys went to Duquesne.
Hey, just so you guys know, make sure you put this on there. Just so you guys know, Johnny's stock went down in my book.
Because of the muck boots.
I don't know if you heard, but why don't you try Uggs? I mean, they're wool.
You know what I'd like, you know, and that's the thing. Kind of goes back with the inlines. You know, I would love to do an early season flintlock hunt period dress, but I can't because I have to wear orange.
Oh yeah.
And so the main reason is because of the inlines. So that I feel like if they would have taken that out, there's really no difference than the late season.
Sure.
And so, but that there's a lot of history with that season, and I think it needs to be preserved.
Guys,
especially here in Pennsylvania.
John, we're close to bumping up on time here, but I'd like to close this episode out with you kind of retelling a story on a video that I thought was particularly interesting, where you had you killed a nice buck with kind of by accident with a crag. And
I was gonna say let's fast forward, but not very far from the 1800s.
Yeah, it is. Good point. Yeah, not very far. Could you tell that story?
Yeah, well, the history with that buck started from where my deer stand is. The first time I saw it was about a mile and a half away on the neighbor's property, actually be my great uncle's property, and saw it in velvet. And I knew instantly, I was like, if I saw that in rifle, I would shoot it. And that hasn't happened for years. And anyways, over the course of, from about this time of the year in September, through the archery season, I had a trail camera set up that I believe I thought I had picture of it. It was really almost too close to the camera because I thought it just looked bigger than what it actually was. And then people were getting pictures of it and seeing it in a 3-mile radius from where I originally saw it in Velvet. And I kept thinking, is this the same buck or is there 2 or 3 bigger ones? And so as the season got further and further into the rut, more and more and more people were seeing it all over the place. And I was never getting it on my trail camera on my property, so I thought, I'm never going to see this buck on my property. And what I thought I had a picture of probably wasn't. Well, then rifle season comes. No, it was a rut. It was during a rut. It was the second week of November, and I had to go to my mother-in-law's for dinner, so I got out of stand just about an hour early, and I'm driving up the road 2 miles away, and there it is standing 15 yards off the road, sniffing the doe, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I didn't feel so bad leaving the stand after that because I thought I knew I wasn't going to see it, but I thought, man, this buck is traveling. Then rifle season comes, and my cousin from Florida was up hunting, and he was walking through a little field, and he bumped it twice on opening day right next to him in a little patch of trees in the middle of the field, and he was just looking the wrong way when it got up and ran down over the bank. And when he come back later in the day, when it was in the same spot. So it survived the first day, and then it was and then I was filming my wife to try to get her first buck, and she knew that it was out there and that she would shoot it. And so it was actually the day before rifle season. My grandfather was coming down the road to our deer camp, and that buck and a big 8-point were locked antlers right on the middle of the road. He couldn't get past them. And that's rarely ever heard of in PA.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So he come down to camp and said, hey, there's 2 bucks locked antlers up in our hayfield. And so we all went up, and I don't know what the plan was. There was no plan. Everyone just got out of vehicles. Well, I think everyone getting out and the headlights on them startled them that they turned the right way and they broke loose. I ended up finding out from the neighbor that those bucks were locked antlers about a mile away an hour before that.
Good night.
They were locked antlers for about a half hour, broke loose, and then ran that mile and got locked up again on the road. I mean, they were really going at it.
The moral of that part of the story is, don't think when you're doing a little rattling sequence in the stand that you're making too much noise.
Right.
Or going too long. Anyway, go ahead.
And they didn't care. So anyways, they split up. And then that first day happened, and then the first Saturday came, and I took my wife up on the hill, and I said, we usually religiously hunt that pine stand in our videos on my property. I said, we're going to go up on the hill because we'll see more doe, and maybe we'll come out in the field. I'll put my trail camera in there. Well, guess what? My wife wasn't too happy because that buck come 20 yards past our tree stand at 10 o'clock in the morning. And it was headed back and towards my cousin's property. So every time we were seeing this buck, and we knew it was still out there, and I thought, this buck's going to make it through the season. And then it was through the middle of the week. My cousin got that 30-40 Craig from my grandfather. My grandfather was giving away all his guns, pulled numbers out of a hat. My cousin got that, and as soon as I saw it, I said, I want to shoot a deer with that gun. He goes, well, you get some ammo for it, and I'll give it to you, and you can. I said, I want to shoot a doe with it. So I said, it was the last week. I said, I'm going to go out and try and shoot a doe. So I walked out of the house, and I started walking up through the hollow, and I was basically just going to try to move some doe around because they bed back in there along the creek, and I was just going to try to get them to move around and then maybe go back in the evening and try to see if they, funnel back into their bedding area and try and shoot one. And so I almost didn't even bring the camera because I wasn't thinking I was even going to shoot one. I thought, well, no, if you're going to go, you better bring the gun and the camera. That's, I want to videotape it. So I just happened to walk up there and looked across the creek, and that was actually the side I originally wanted to walk on. And I don't know why I decided to walk on the other side. And when I set that tripod up on that deer, it was automatically facing already in view. I didn't have to twitch or anything. It was like it was meant to be. And I don't know what happened with that first shot, but I told myself before I pulled the trigger, if this thing does not drop, just, you know what to do.
Yeah.
So I was ready if that thing didn't drop on the first shot. So but yeah, I knew the buck the second I saw it, and it was just unbelievable.
You got mad history with that buck.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and with such a really old gun, and and especially my grandfather's gun, and now my cousin also has some history, and the gun is famous, and it's his gun and stuff. It's,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I just and I actually got it scored, and it actually made Pennsylvania record books.
No way.
It
There you
grossed
go.
147 gross and 142 net, and I
Wow.
believe PA record books is 140 with a rifle minimum.
Wow.
Wow.
That might be the
So-
biggest with a Craig.
Yeah.
Our great grandfather had one of those, and it got passed down, to generation. It's
To the non-hunter in the family.
yeah. I have it.
How about that?
If I ever, if I ever hunt rifle, that's
He's going to get one of
what
those
I wanna-
50-inch muskie with it.
I want to shoot a muskie with it. Now, if I ever rifle hunt deer, that's what I want to use. So
He's got
The thing I learned about that hunt was that was the last Thursday of the season. And it was the biggest buck in probably a 5 mile, or well, being that it was that big, I don't know of any of the bucks within a 5 mile radius that were that big. And you don't know where they're going to be. They can be there. I hardly saw it at all on my property. And then one day in rifle season, I was in the wrong spot. But you never give up, And like I said, you still have flintlock season. Just because that rifle season's over, there's still big bucks in the flintlock season.
right.
And so you never know when you're gonna see that big buck. It can happen just like that. And that's usually the way you hear about those guys killing those big bucks.
Sure,
I was out there
definitely.
and I was doing something dumb and blah blah blah, and then I killed this monster buck. And it's like
There I was, minding my own business.
There I was baling hay.
When you guys aren't shooting bucks with your Craig and catching snakes with your bare hands and walking around in loincloths, where can people find you guys at?
Well, you can find us on YouTube and Facebook, Leatherwood Outdoors and Leatherwood Outdoors 2. And we're getting Instagram set up, so just look for us for Leatherwood Outdoors.
Yeah.
All right.
Looking forward to that. That would be cool. You guys have good pictures.
Do you guys have anything coming up that you want to tell everybody about potentially as we're wrapping up here, guys?
Stay tuned.
Instagram.
Stay tuned.
all right.
For another Flintlock special. All righty.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it was great having you.
Yeah, thank you so
yeah,
much.
it's
We're
fun.
definitely going to have to
Thanks.
see you guys in the future, talk to you. We might see you on the hard water. Maybe some
Yeah.
rumors of that.
That's,
We have some
Yeah, I'm
connections
excited.
to that. so-
We've been putting a lot of ice time on there, and I tell you what, Gus Glasgow and Billy Hines, they've really got that tournament going.
Gus
And
is the man.
guys, you guys need to get in talk to, because they really got that thing really going good.
Yeah.
Tournament series.
well, I think you twisted our arm enough. I think we'll be
done.
be there.
Yeah, we've talked to Gus. He's the man. I think, so far, and we know what you guys, we've seen some of the videos from last year. It's a thing,
It's a good tournament.
I'll tell you what.
The ice is so fragile. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get on it whenever it's here.
I think me and Stevie are about to make a deal.
What's that?
I'll go ice fishing with him if he goes rattlesnake hunting with me.
I was just gonna say,
You've
if we
already
happen,
been ice fishing with him, bud.
I'll go again because I swore I didn't really care for it. So
I was just
I'll go
gonna say,
again
if
he goes rattlesnake hunting with me.
if we happen to meet up with them ice fishing and the fishing's slow, we can break away and I'll do some rattlesnake hunting.
Oh, only in the middle of winter.
In the winter.
I commit to that.
I
yeah.
can get into it at that time of year, huh? Okay.
Exactly.
So, guys, thanks for being on the show. We'll definitely be in touch.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yep, thanks. Yeah, thank you.
Guys, where can they find us?
They can check us out at ruttenriverpursuits.com. The podcast itself is also always available on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and CastBox.
Castbox.
Oh, you guys are killing me with this stuff. And Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitters. Just look for
There's 2 Twitters?
Rutten River Pursuits. And then, of course, the YouTube channel, Rutten River Pursuits Podcast.
Quit being a jerk, Deaky.
Yeah.
But
I'm just deaking around, bud.
You guys are killing me.
Speaking of jerk.
Yeah?
I heard there's some jerky hanging around the podcast.
There might be. I think you can look at Moses Family Jerky, mfjerky.com.
Go to mfjerky.com.
How would I get a discount on jerky?
Do you want a 15% discount, bud?
I would love a 15%.
Jerky Pursuits 15.
I'm going to buy 15% more jerky.
Get you some.
You know what they say?
What's that?
Good things come in 15s.
I've said that for years.
Nobody said
Ryan, if my hand
I'm
is
confused
cold
by
while
that.
I'm hunting,
Yeah.
how could I get 15% off a bow mitt?
You head over to betterthehunt.com.
Go to betterthehunt.com.
And you're going to use promo code
Rut River, just Rut, R-U-T, River, R-I-V-E-R, 15.
No way. We get
15%
15% off
off the bow
those
mitt.
two?
We do.
Betterthehunt.com.
I'm picking up on a theme here, guys.
You should buy 2 of them. You get 30% off. Well, 15
I don't
for
think
each.
that works that way, but
It depends how your math works and if you're talking to your wife about it or not.
All righty, let's wrap this up.
we'll see you guys.
See it.
Rig 'em weedless.
Double clutch it.
I want to talk a little bit about whitetail deer.
What?
And I got to talk about how I...
Sounds like a real snooze fest to me.
Sorry, Fish Steve.
Fish and Steve.
So,
John, your last video that you just released, or recently released, it was a month or so ago.
Yeah.
My first question is,
I know where this is going.
what is wrong with you?
Take your time. You know who would make a good trapper? Like a dude that ran like a mall kiosk. Because you don't have to be at work till like 9 or 10 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, like the sunglasses guy?
Yeah, and then
the
the-
guy that sells the
Then they
phone
roll
screen.
out at like
Yeah.
8:30 or 9.
Yeah. I've been saying that for years.
You could trap as much as you want.
Uh-huh.